Hey there, I am live. Woohoo! Here I am, you know. So, you're probably wondering to yourself, like, the power of being humble. How is being humble a form of power? Like, what is going on with that, Taylor? Well, first, let me share with you an amusing story. A few weeks back, I saw someone post about, like, they were like, screw being humble. And you got to just screw that, blah 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 blah, all these things. And I kind of chuckled to myself, because knowingly, because I know that person's cruising for a bruising. I've been that person. you know I have been arrogant and proud. I have thought myself better than other people at times. I have acted like an ass at times. And that's okay. I mean, we all go through those phases. But the thing that I have found is that life has a way of reminding you of just how small you really are in the grand scheme of things. And I know people don't want to hear that, and people might even look at me askance and say, well, you're a magician. Why would you say something like that? But I'll tell you that if anything, I've noticed in the magical community, it's that most of the occultists I meet tend to wear their arrogance like it's a cloak. And what they don't realize is that arrogance is really a form of insecurity. It's a form of weakness. When we feel the need to buffer ourselves up by proving how awesome we are, what we're really showing is that we have no power. We're showing that we're insecure, and that we don't have the necessary presence to be able to just stand our ground and be, no matter what comes our way. I think I first really began to experience what it was like to be humble in 2016, 2017, when I basically ran my coaching business to the ground. And I had this this thing where I was learning this online marketing, because I was tired of going to networking events, and I wanted to find a way to get around the pagan occult convention scene, because I was tired of being ignored by the convention organizers, because I wasn't a Llewellyn author or a Wiser author, or I wasn't in with the festival organizers, because I'm a contrary person, don't you know? And and I was so arrogant. I didn't really go in on understanding what I needed to have in order to make things work. And in the end, I ran my business. I ran my coaching business to the ground. Nearly ran magical experiments to the ground. And I was so exhausted, and I had fallen so hard. And I ended up getting a job at a customer support center. And let me tell you, when you're taking phone calls every single day from people who are ticked off about their software and feel entitled to treat you like crap, any sense of pride and arrogance you have goes right out the window, because it's like, look at where I'm at. I had in some ways forgotten my roots. I mean, I've grown, I'd grown up working at jobs since I was 14 years old. I'd done lots of retail and service oriented jobs, and I'd forgotten that. And so it was a good reminder for me. And it was funny, I spent that time really just kind of the first half a year, the first year really of that whole experience. I really just kind of, I had my fall, and then I had to really just spend some time recovering and thinking. And I became really humble, because I realized, okay, you know what? I might have certain skills and talents, but at the end of the day, I still fell. Like, I mean, I'm not going to lie here. I am a pretty gifted magician. Um, all things considered, I have an understanding of magic that's pretty unique, and I don't think it's arrogant for me to say that. It's just the truth. But all that said, it doesn't change the fact that sometimes, that even with all that, sometimes I've still found myself brought low. I mean, even right now, I've gotten a divorce. I'm having to start my life all over again, and things are coming together. But it's not like I just, snap my fingers and everything was solved like that. And I think, like, in the occult community, we have this pressure to be successful, this pressure to like show how powerful our magic is and everything else. But maybe we're going about it the wrong way, in my opinion. And I've been feeling that way for a while, really. Magic is isn't a cure all. It certainly can give you some ways to make things better in your life, but it can also complicate your life. I mean, I say that as someone who does this year-long dedicated internal work to different elements, and like I chose to work with the elements of truth and connection in October, and guess what? I'm living my truth and connection right now. I've gotten divorced from my wife. I'm discovering my truth all over again. I mean, that's kind of the price you pay for doing some of this work, is that you end up, you don't stay comfortable. I was reading in the book Pagan Polyamory by Raven Caldera recently. He was talking about how, like when you're doing spiritual work, you at some point you have a choice to make. Do you stay comfortable, or do you do the work? And he's right. I'm doing the work and I'm not staying comfortable. And there will undoubtedly be other moments in my life where I'll have to choose between comfort and doing the work. And because of the nature of who I am and the work that I'm doing, I'm always going to choose to do that work because that's my path. It's not an easy path. There are moments where I kind of want to just say to myself, why can't you just settle for what you got? But I can't. But I got to be humble about it. That's what I've learned, is to be humble, to really just be open to the world, because that's the power of being humble, is that when you are humble, you discard what you know and the ego of what you know, the arrogance of what you know, in favor of challenging yourself to discover what you can learn. I've been saying that phrase for a while: challenge what you know by to discover what you can learn. And it really comes from this place of humility, of humbleness, because what you know is really an illusion in a lot of ways. Like, I can say, like, I know how to record this video, I know how to do X, Y, and Z. Well, sure, to a certain extent I do, but like if something goes wrong with this video, I have to be humble and be willing to learn. If I go and I up in my life, I have to be willing to be humble and learn from that, and carry those lessons forward. I think it would behoove the entire occult community to get a much needed kick in the ass and start being more humble. Start start really examining what you know and challenging it, and be humble, because there is power in being humble. That power is the power of being open to discovery. It's the power of feeling a sense of wonder, because you realize that the world around you and the universe around you is so much larger than you think it is, and that your place and your role in it isn't nearly as central as you think it is. And that, yes, you might be able to do some amazing magical work, you may be able to do some other things, but that sometimes, no matter what you do, you're still going to feel this sense of proportion. And if you welcome it, you can embrace it and actually use it to carry you forward. We don't always have to have the answers. We don't always have to have the solutions. We don't always have to be perfect, or, in fact, we're never perfect, but we don't always have to be Gandalf, mysterious, all wise, knowing Gandalf, who really, when you read, I haven't read Tolkien in years, but I have a very, very good memory. When you read it, I mean, he didn't even always know what to do. But, in the occult community, there's this focus on trying to, I don't know, hold to this specific image of who we should be, of how we ought to show up. And I think we're fooling ourselves, really. I just don't see it. I see a lot of people who get really caught up in the image of magic. And it's funny. I mean, I have people who say, like, and on I'll tell you a couple reasons. I'm just going to be brutally honest. One, because I'm talking some hard truths that people don't necessarily want to hear. Like, talking about being humble is not something most people want to hear. That's my experience in the social media world. It's something people need to hear more. The other truth of the matter is, I'm not some pretty young woman, glittery and glamoury. I'm a guy. I'm a middle-aged white guy. And and right now I'm a middle-aged white guy staying at a friend's home trying to get my life together. I don't know how inspiring that is, but there it is. But I don't care. I fully embrace that and accept it. And that's the difference between me and other people that maybe are so caught up in their arrogance and their pride, and they think that, they have to front and be a certain ways that, like, there's no need for me to front. I don't care what any of you may think of my surroundings or whatever else, because that's not why I'm here. I'm here to speak my truth, to work the magic and do all the things that I'm doing. And yes, I'm sorting my life out. Things are coming together, but whatever you take from it, whatever you get from it, that is your own thing. And what I share is that's my own thing. And perhaps we meet in the middle and we have this understanding and this connection, which is a good thing. But if people want to judge me for where I'm at or what I'm doing or any of that other stuff, I mean, they're welcome to it. It doesn't matter to me, because at the end of the day, those judgments say more about those people than they do about me. When you are humble, you are able to accept your circumstances, and it doesn't mean that you're quivering in fear. It doesn't mean that you're being weak. It means that you're just accepting that I don't know. I don't always have the answers, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to ask questions. That that's the power of being humble. And the person who thinks that they have to have all the answers, the person who thinks that they've got to show up and be glittery and glamoury and everything else, and all knowing and everything else, that person is bound to fall, because inevitably there's going to be a moment when they stumble and they discover that their feet are made of clay, where they discover that what they know really doesn't stand up against the face of what they could learn. And then they have a choice. Do I discard my pride and my arrogance and learn? Or do I continue to hold on to my delusions and attachments and try to front and make things be a certain way because I have to have it this way? Well, I don't have to have it a certain way. I stepped away from a very comfortable life in a lot of ways. You know, last month when I chose to get divorced. But I did it because I came at it from a place of integrity and authenticity. I came at it from a place of preserving my mental health, because I knew I needed to take care of myself, and I was feeling really depressed and suicidal at one point, and not well. And I made the choice that ultimately, that even though the person that I was with loved me very much, that because of other factors, I had to do what I needed to do to take care of myself. And so I still love her. I miss her. But here I am out in this world, challenging what I know by discovering what I can learn. I'm driving each day as I do DoorDash, and I'm challenging myself. I'm letting go of attachments. I'm working through things, and gradually sorting stuff out and figuring out what I'm going to do next with my life. I'm going to continue writing, of course, continue making these videos, eventually continue teaching classes once I get to a somewhat better space in terms of how I would teach, because this is just too distracting in the background. And I'm just approaching it from the perspective of I don't know. And I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with not having all the answers. I'm okay with not being perfect, because I'm not perfect. I've never been perfect. And I think if we as occultists change our perspective around this and start to embrace the joy of discovery by being humble, by not having to have all the answers, by not having to present an image of perfection and, oh, I got all these results and all this, that we would actually see our community improve significantly. I don't know if that'll happen. I really don't, because I don't. I see so much of the opposite on social media, and I know I must seem very critical about it, and in a way I am, because it's very much a case of just like what it was like 20 years ago. Like, I remember being on these e-newsletter lists with different chaos magic groups, and it was basically the same thing. And it's kind of like, well, rinse and repeat. But I can't really worry about that too much. I just got to do my own thing, and that's what I'm really doing. I'm writing my books. I'm working my process. I'm putting myself out there, and I'm doing my own thing. And if the right people come along that are meant to work with me, they'll come along. And if they don't, they don't. I mean, I guess really what it comes right down to is that the people that come my way are the people who need me, and I need them as well. And we'll grow together as a community. And that's really what my work is about. It's about finding community. It's about finding community where there is no ego, there is no fronting, where we share and we learn and we grow with each other. And there's no need to put on a front. There's just a simple welcoming of who you are and a trust that you will be able to share and grow. So I put that out there for you guys today as a message to consider for yourself. Instead of getting caught up in what you know and thinking you've got all the answers, I challenge you to discover what you can learn by being humble. Go out there and open yourself to the wonder of this world. Open yourself to the wonder of your body. Open yourself to the wonder of whatever experiences you have, good or bad. And yes, there is wonder in bad experiences as well. Like, just be open to it. And you might just discover a deeper layer and level of magic than you've ever experienced before. Because when you shed the illusions of what you know and you allow yourself to be open and humble, you begin to discover the real secrets. All right. Take care, guys, and have a great day.